Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us. Sorry about the short notice, but as you know, with COVID, things change rather quickly, and we thought it would be good to have a discussion today. I've been working with the governor's office, reaching out to several sources. As you all are probably aware, we've had an uptick in positive cases of COVID, and so a lot of agencies are talking about possibly moving us back again. And I've talked to the large grocers, and those stores are going to be implementing mask mandates again for employees. Not clear yet on customers. And the governor's office is saying, we'll give you a chance to make a decision on this and take action and follow your lead. But definitely, if we don't start seeing changes in numbers, they are going to have to put a mandate in place again. So that's where we are. I wanted to open it up and just answer questions and get feedback from all of you on where you're at and anything you may want to ask. So let's see. Gonna unmute.
Tammy, I've already unmuted everyone, almost everyone.
Okay, perfect. So it's open. Does anyone want to ask a question or start in or share kind of where they're at with their store?
Somebody muted everybody.
Oh. I think I just unmuted everyone. Yes, I can see some people unmuted. Okay. Does anyone want to share kind of where they're at on this? And if
Hi,
they've
guys.
decided.
I
Hello.
will. Hi,
Okay.
this is Elvira from Town and Country Markets. We
Yes.
already went back, at least for employees, not as for customers. So everybody is required to wear a mask as of yesterday.
Okay.
And this is Kevin Stormans, and we just actually had a manager meeting and decided to do the same thing.
Okay. Anyone else?
Tammy, this is Andra, and we're still on the fence, but I'm gonna have a mutiny on my hands if I mandate that again.
Yeah, I think the problem is that we're seeing a lot of positives come back from even vaccinated workers. Now, we realize you can still get this. You're just not going to have those significant symptoms. They're not going to be the hospitalizations. And, we know that the unvaccinated ones are the ones that have the serious conditions. But the problem is that we're just seeing so many positives from vaccinated employees as well. That's kind of where we're at. And so it's really one of those things where we have to protect these employees the best we can. And I totally understand the mutiny, but if we don't get this under control, then the governor is going to mandate it again, and it will probably be a little more strict. And I do not want any of you to have to enforce masks for customers. I mean, I have stressed that over and over and over again, that we do not want to be put in that position. Most of ours are not membership stores, so we can't just, make these requirements without having mutiny on that side.
Right.
Yeah, it's a tough one. Anyone else want to share kind of where they're at?
Tammy, it's Kevin again, but I just, the other thing is we've had customers ask us if we're going to go back to masking because they have gone into other stores where the employees are masks, and they're telling us that we're not so sure we feel comfortable coming in your store.
Right. No, and I think
it's not been hundreds of people, but it's been some people.
Yeah, no, and I think you're right. And as we start to see this numbers going up again, I think more and more people are going to, kind of mask regulate themselves, but also be concerned about those areas where they just don't feel as safe. it's just an odd new world that we're in right now. You know, it's frustrating for everyone, and it's hard because, you know, we've opened things up and now we have to take it back, and it's never fun to take something back, you know, a freedom, but it's not looking good right now.
Hi, Tammy. This is Heather from Harvard. Can you hear me okay?
I can.
Yeah, so we are here in our 3 of our 4 distribution centers moving forward with bringing the mask mandate back in place. Another of our distribution center, which has a larger building with less volume of team members in there, is not quite there yet, but we are moving forward with doing the same. And surprisingly, we had the same, a couple of you guys I heard having concerns about bringing this forward. Most of our team members so far have been somewhat understanding of it. And I even had a team member stop by my office this morning and just say, hey, when are we doing this? We know it's coming, but not in a negative way. I think people get it. Just to kind of ease a couple of you guys on the call there, we haven't had stones thrown at us. So.
Yeah, no, that's huge. And I think, you know, being proactive is really important, because we are talking about supply chain challenges here, you know, and you all are so critical to this state and providing, you know, food and supplies. And if our supply chain is broken or damaged, you know, it impacts many people in these communities. So, you know, I think the community wants us to be proactive, and they want to know that we're doing everything we can to protect them as well, because I am concerned about supply chain issues and what could happen. And so I want to just help all of you through this as best I can. And I do see, Catherine, you have a question? Catherine Newstead? Okay, if you can't get yourself unmuted, maybe you can type it in the question box while I wait to hear.
Tammy, I have it here in the question box.
Oh, good. Okay.
Our employees would probably do worse than a mutiny. Our customers love not having masks. No question, that was a comment.
Yeah, and I do understand there's going to be certain regions and areas where this is going to be very difficult. And, you know, and I do get that. And that's why I think that if we're taking a proactive approach and we're masking up in these areas where it's really increasing, I think that's going to make a big difference and keep it from being a requirement across the board. But again, you know, we're trying to do everything we can to protect our employees, protect customers, everyone else. So it absolutely has to be a decision for each of you based on where you're at, your region, what's going on there, the whole bit. I understand that.
Tammy, this is Tyler Myers. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I have a question. Is the situation still the same that if you have, say, I think the number is 2 positive cases, you need to report it to the health department?
Yes.
So yeah. My concern, my big concern is that, you know, many people are aware of what's happened at UNFI with, you know, literally the whole warehouse closing for a period of time. And then on our restaurant side, Cisco Food Service has had similar challenges. They haven't been shut down. But so is there a situation where a grocery store retailer, for an example, ends up having a couple of, you know, a couple cases, maybe 4 or 5 or 6, and the health department comes in and says, we're testing your whole store. And then you get to the point where, say, a significant number of people test positive, where they've been vaccinated or not. And then the health department says, you need to close your store for 10 days, much like UNFI. Is that a possibility?
That is a high possibility, and that's my biggest concern. Again, you know, talking about supply chain, you all are feeding the public, and that's a big concern, is that we will have to see stores shut down. We've already seen departments within stores have to shut down and just go through a stringent cleaning, and you know, meat departments, delis, all that we've seen happen. Mostly in the larger grocers, but it has happened in some of our smaller ones. So it is a big concern, and I want to do everything I can to help you all to not have that happen.
So I read today that in New York City, you have to show vaccination cards to enter a restaurant or a gym. Have you heard any conversation about the state going to that, where you have to show your, you know, show your card?
Yeah, you know, that's a good question, and there's kind of a two-part question there, because I do think that we will start seeing that increase where more and more they're going to say, okay, well, show me. And then the next question, which came up in the box, and I've also heard a lot about, and I did talk to the large grocers about it, is mandatory vaccinations. We already have some larger stores that is probably going to be instituting mandatory vaccines for their workers. And so you're probably going to be hearing real soon about some of the bigger stores requiring vaccinations for their workers. I know that's not always easy for our group to do something like that, but just knowing that there are going to be those messages out there.
Hey Tammy, this is Heather again from Harbor.
Yeah.
Can you clarify on our reporting obligations to L&I, not to the Department of Health, but if we have exposure in the workplace and the number of those that we need to report to L&I? We had 2 unrelated within a short period of time, but they were unrelated. So that's nothing I need to report to L&I, correct?
No, and L&I,
because we thought it was a higher number than that. I think Travis, you're on the call, but I thought you said 10.
yeah, it could be for labor and industries. For Department of Health, it's 2 or more, but it has to be a direct, you know, they have to be tied together somehow.
Okay.
And they'll ask you that. For labor and industries, yeah, they're tracking those exposures as well. Their number may be higher, and I don't know that one off the top of my head. Do we have Brent on the phone?
It's 10. I'm reading it, unless it's still 10 or more employees at workplaces or work sites with more than 50 employees is what I was.
Perfect. Okay. I knew someone would have that.
Thanks, Travis. Okay.
Yeah, and I just sent you the guide. It's still, again, Heather, that's all we have right now from L&I.
Okay. Tammy, is there any, obviously 119 is just, there's not words to describe how alarming that is. Is there anything that you can share with us from a, best practice, anything that you can share that maybe they didn't think about that resulted in that number of exposures?
Yeah, I'm not sure, everything's pretty close to the cuff with that specific exposure. What I've been talking to members about is, if you can't keep people 6 feet or more apart and they're working, close together and for 15 minutes or more, I think you kind of need to look at those basics again and then say whether they're vaccinated or not, there's still an exposure risk. And because we realize a vaccination really doesn't stop you from getting it, it just stops it from being so severe. We still need to look at, okay, how do we stop the spread no matter what level it is? And that's the first thing to look at. So I've been just talking to everyone about going back to where we were at, several months ago, where we said, okay, what employees are most at risk, and really focused on, implementing something that is a mandate for them, and then just deciding, okay, how can we protect those other employees? Is there some way, that we can avoid this exposure? So that's really what we've been looking at this point.
Sounds good.
Yeah. And the other one thing I would say is that, the governor's office is looking to us to see what we're going to do. They also are concerned because, if you all start having outbreaks and exposures and shutdowns, we have a serious problem. I mean, there's a reason that you all have been deemed essential, and so we can't afford to have that happen. So we really want to be as proactive as we possibly can, and make sure we're there for customers and the community to get through this. Any other questions? I know that, we're just kind of flying by the cuff here. I don't have anything specific, but I really felt like we needed to talk about this and just decide, where do we want to go? And I know it helps to brainstorm this with others that are dealing with the same thing. But I think if there's any way you can message to your employees that this is the best approach right now, it would be good. And I would say keep watching, because there's more to come. And in the next few days, we could see the governor actually come out with something that just says, everybody indoors is going to wear a mask again. So I wouldn't be surprised.
Do you know if the governor's planning on any additional incentives regarding vaccines?
I don't know. It's a high possibility, and I will ask.
It kind of sounded like I read it as like he was hinting at that at his press conference. So I was kind of anticipating something, but I haven't seen anything.
Yeah, I'll just go ahead and ask on that and find out and make sure I get that out to you.
Okay.
But then also I'll keep watching, and if and when I do hear of the larger stores requiring vaccinations, I'll also let you know that, just so you are kept in the loop on what others are doing.
Hey, it's Lori. Are you guys seeing any kind of weird buying patterns? Would be my concern.
Oh gosh, great question. Yeah, anybody want to share that, or are you seeing any changes in buying patterns? The only thing I would mention that's kind of tied to that is what Kevin and I just talked about, which is the concern over WIC and some of those supplies being limited during a shutdown. We are concerned about that, and so we're going to do some more follow-up and see what we can do to help with that, because that is a concern. Formula, things like that, not being readily available. Any other issues that people have seen on unique changes in buying? Okay. Okay, well, please all keep sharing with me anything, that you decide or that you change in your policies. I'll always keep it anonymous, but I really want to make sure that we're sticking together here and sharing best practices and keeping everybody's stores open. So anything I can do to help, please do not hesitate to reach out to me. And I'll keep working hard on this, and the team here at WFIA will do everything we can to help. So thank you so much. I hope you all have a great week, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.
Thanks, Tammy.
Thank you.